Today, we get to hear from Temple herself, who, through her own work and the help of her mother, has become this exceptional person who's accomplished more than anybody that really I think any of us can think of with autism, who has autism. In fact, today, I don't know if you have heard about this because you've all been kind of sequestered here, Time magazine named her to the list of 100 most influential people. They specifically put her in the category, and they had a few categories, artists and thinkers, and they put her in the category of hero. And I get kind of choked up when I say that, because I think that for a lot of you, you can really understand why. You know, she's the person who, for a lot of people, has given them hope. You know, that an autism diagnosis is something you can work with, and you can lead a full life, and not just an average life even, an exceptional life. You know, she's an innovator. She's a doctor, you know, and she's a lot of people's heroes. And Time magazine recognized that. So you're going to get to hear from herself, and I hope you enjoy it. Temple Grandin.
Well, it's great to be here today, and I think I'll just tell a little bit about my diagnosis. I was born in 1947, so nobody knew much about autism. When I was 2.5 years old, my mother realized it was obvious that I wasn't learning to speak. I wasn't, no social contact, no eye contact. I had all of the symptoms of autism. And fortunately, I got into very good early intervention. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of early intervention. I was in a good educational program by the time I was 2.5 years old. And my mother got referred to a little speech therapy school that 2 teachers ran out of their house. They did a lot of ABA types of things. Of course, nobody back then knew what ABA was. But there are, good teachers. And I had several interviews this morning, and they said, well, what should parents do if they find out their 3-year-old is not talking and has a lot of strange behavior? I said, the worst thing you can do is wait. Don't wait 2 years for a diagnosis. Get some grandmothers, get some students, get involved with the Autism Society. You got to start working with that kid, because nothing is the worst thing you can do. You got to interact with them. You just got to work with them. And a good teacher kind of just knows how to be gently insistent. If you don't push hard enough, you don't get any advancement. You push too hard, they're going to go into meltdown. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that sensory problems occur with many different disorders. There's a lot of controversy right now with the DMS-5 dropping the Asperger diagnosis, and just merging everything into autism. Scientifically, it is all a single spectrum. Asperger's is not a separate disorder. It's a matter of degree. The science is one thing. The other thing is what happens to services. And that's going to vary a lot, I think, from state to state. But many different disorders have sensory processing problems and sensory sensitivity problems. Dyslexia, ADHD. In fact, there's an awful lot of crossover between mild autism and ADHD, and I'm really scared that some of these Asperger kids are going to get stuck into oppositional defiant. Unfortunately, I'm hearing more and more about that. I just got back from New York State, and I'm not pleased what I heard there. When I was a little kid, loud sounds hurt my ears. Now, at the talk this morning at lunch, and I'm very bad about remembering names, but the speaker has Asperger's, had a lot of problems with the wait staff out here, with the noise and things like that. That's a really good example of sensory problems. Also problems with slow attention shifting. Okay, this door is going to drive me crazy if you stay back there too long, because every time I get motion in my peripheral vision, like this door was opening up and closing all the time, I come on that orient over to that, and it takes me a long time to orient back. Especially a lot of motion. Something you do in the back of the room, I don't notice that. But stuff right around up here in the front, a lady was fanning herself the other day. It drives me crazy. I can't block out the motion. And Loud sounds like the fire alarm, the school bell, it hurt my ears. It was like a dentist drill hitting a nerve. Now the thing about these sensory problems is they're very variable. Oops, what happened? I got to get the water out of here. They're extremely, extremely variable. A sound that bothers one kid will not bother another kid. They are exceedingly variable. One kid will have visual sensitivity. Another kid has auditory sensitivity. Another person has smell sensitivity. Another one has problems with scratchy clothes and they're ripping all their clothes off because their clothes feel like sandpaper. They're extremely variable. And if there's one place I'd like to see research money put into, it is the sensory problems, because they can be exceedingly debilitating. Now, you go in and you test a kid's hearing. Auditory threshold can be normal. That's the ability to hear little faint sounds. That tells you nothing about hearing auditory detail. That's the ability to hear hard consonant sounds. My speech teacher would hold up a cup and she'd go, cup, say ball. And she'd really enunciate those consonants. And in Thinking in Pictures, there's a description of central auditory processing tests that I took, and I couldn't believe how badly I failed them. And a lot of people on the spectrum, and also with all these other, I'm going to call brain problems. I got this new umbrella category called brain problems. You see, because one of the problems you have with diagnosis, it's not precise. I'm trained as a hardcore biologist, and basically these diagnostic things are behavioral profiling. They're not precise. Let's say you got tuberculosis, they can tell you exactly what kind of tuberculosis you've gotten and what genetic strain of TB you have. But people with sensory problems can have a hearing like a bad mobile phone, where their hearing cuts in and out. You all know driving along and the phone is cutting in and out. That's how some people's hearing is. And when these people get tired, it gets worse. Gets a whole lot worse. Attention shifting slowness is another big problem. Again, the thing with the door over here, okay, that would attract his attention, and then it takes longer to shift back. Okay, this was some work that was done by Ami Klin at Yale, and if you read the original journal article, they say, yep, the person with autism doesn't look at the eyes, the yellow line, which the normal person looks at the eyes. And it was a paper strictly on social. But there's something else really important that this picture tells me. Look at how many times the yellow line looks back and forth. Ooh, a phone, I'd like to step on it. Can I step on that phone? Oh, pretty blue phone. Wouldn't that look nice, squished into the carpet? I've had the embarrassment of having my phone. I actually managed to get my phone turned off, but I have had my phone ring during a talk. It's really bad. But look at how many times the yellow line looks back and forth. The attention shifting is rapid compared to the red line. Also, the autistics looking at the math. Remember, they're not hearing hard consonant sounds. Another thing weird that's happened here, look at how the red line is tracking along the edge of the top of the couch. And what they did, they had these people watch Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Nice, boring social movie, man. This plays on a plane. I can't even keep the headphones on, it's so boring. But if they play Monsters, Inc. on a plane, I watched that 4 times, I'm embarrassed to say. Some people on the spectrum have problems with images breaking up. This is from Oliver Sacks' migraine book, and images sort of like turn into mosaics. I don't have this problem. People that have this problem are not going to be visual thinkers because they can't store a graphics file. And this problem is incredibly common. I had a dyslexic PhD student that had this problem, and it was causing her a lot of problems with reading. Okay, what's a sign that a person has something wrong with the visual system? Now again, this is back here, inside here. It's not in the eye, it's in the brain. These are the ones they do a lot of finger flicking. They'll tilt their head, looking out the corner of their eye. Either the adults or the kids, they're terrified of escalators. They can't tell when to get on and off, but the big one is they can't stand 60-cycle fluorescent lights. Single biggest problem we've got in the schools, design of the environment, is 60-cycle fluorescent lights. Now in the future they'll have new electronic ones that are more rapid, but the regular ones, terrible. My dyslexic student would just space out when she got under fluorescent lights. And the eye exams, a quick little eye exam, that's probably going to be normal. Okay, when they go to read, ask them, did you ever see the print wiggle on the page? I'm finding in a class of 35 students in my livestock design class, I'm finding one of these every semester. 1 out of 35. And they can't draw. And I can tell by the wiggly, messy drawings they do that they've got this problem. And then I ask them the screening questions. And then we send them off for some simple interventions. Okay, what do you do if you're stuck in this classroom with no windows with 60 cycle fluorescent lights? Try putting a 100-watt old-fashioned light bulb lamp, old-fashioned hot energy waster bulb next to the kid's desk. And then the little twirly things you screw into the lamp, some of those are terrible. Some of those are so bad that I can see flicker on them. Try wearing a hat. If you got windows, get that desk over by the window. Laptop computer. A laptop computer, this one's not. This one's kind of fat. Hidden inside there's a fluorescent light, so that screen's bad too. Only the real skinny ones, laptops, LCD screens, they're the only ones that don't flicker. Now, as new screen technology comes in, you compare it back against a laptop. I'm not sure about high-def TV because I don't have any students right now at the moment to test. We don't have I have to have the two screens beside each other to test it. But the laptop's your gold standard. And my dyslexic student would have failed her courses if she hadn't had her laptop. Because how can she use a computer that's flashing on and off like a discotheque? Other simple things you can do is try printing the homework on pastel paper. Tan, gray, light blue, lavender, all the different pale colors. Try colored overlays. And a lot of people are helped with Irwin lenses, pale colored lenses. Especially the pinks, the purples, the different pale pastel colors. I've sent students out sunglass shopping, and I had one student come back and she said, oh, I got an A on my economics quiz because now I can see the PowerPoints aren't jiggling. And one parent went and bought some pink Disneyland glasses for her little girl, and she can now do an hour of shopping at the local Walmart instead of 5 minutes. Before, she could only do 5 minutes. Now, the only advantage of the Irwin lenses is you're picking out the precise, exact color. But there's a lot of sunglasses out there for less than 20 bucks that might really make a difference. And I always want to make sure we've got plenty of interventions we can do that are not expensive. Sitting on a ball can sometimes help. Balancing games. Some people help with prism glasses, but that has to be done professionally. Everything else here, you can just try it yourself.